Frank Beckman is tapping his toe this morning. He is the Wolverine play-by-play announcer for many, many, many years now, and host on WJR of his own program. Starts from 9 in the morning until noon, and he's with us this morning. How are you, Frank?
I'm good, Michael, and I would go back to play Augusta again, given the opportunity.
You've done it once, huh?
Twice, but
twice. That's pretty good. Did you try to make a score there, or did you just soak it all in and smell the flowers?
The first time I just sort of took in the atmosphere and didn't worry what I shot. And the second time I tried to post a number, and I should have smelled the flowers and enjoyed the scenery.
It'll bite you, I would think, depending.
Yeah, there's so much more to that golf course when you play it. You know, the change in terrain and the difficulty of the greens. It's really indescribable unless you're on the course and experience it.
Is it a little bit nerve-wracking, I imagine, too, because not too many people play there in a given day. You're obviously playing with a member. The place is pristine. I mean, do you feel guilty taking a divot?
Almost, yeah. There is some of that. I felt bad on the range of hitting shots, and the caddies are out there retrieving the balls, and I'm yanking one and cutting another one. I had this caddy going back and forth. I thought he was going to be worn out before we started.
I remember Lloyd Carr telling me a story that he once went to Coach Bo, and he said, "Bo, I've never asked you for anything, but I know that you're pretty close with," I think it was maybe Frank Broyles at the time. And he said, "I'd really like to go play Augusta National, so it's time for me to cash in my favor." And it was arranged, and he got to go play there. But it's not an easy trick.
No, it's not. It's a very special experience, and I'll guarantee you one thing. Matthew Stafford may have turned it down, but that's only because he's been there before or he knows he's going to get invited again, because you don't turn down Augusta National if you're a golfer.
Yeah, well, he, obviously playing for the University of Georgia and being young, you're invincible when you're young, and you figure, yeah, that'll come around again, but we'll see about that. Lloyd Carr going into the College Football Hall of Fame. He won the national championship, undefeated season with Michigan. You know him very well. Does he belong in the Hall of Fame? That's a silly question, isn't it?
I think so. I mean, he spent 30 years at Michigan, and you go by a body of a man's work, and it was his time was capped off by that great season of '97 when Michigan won the national championship. But you also judge coaches on how they comport themselves, what they do with their players, and how their players develop into men later as well, and not just football players. And all of that makes Lloyd Carr a Hall of Famer. You just look at the big dinner that was held over the weekend where members of that '97 team, led by Brian Griese, Steve Hutchinson, and Charles Woodson all got together to put together a gala evening on Saturday, and then what was supposed to be golf yesterday, it got rained out. But they got former teammates, almost 100 former Michigan players and coaches gathered, 800 people at this dinner on Saturday night, and they raised $5 million for Mott Children's Hospital in one night. That's the kind of inspiration that Lloyd Carr gave players to go out and do things like that later on. He's the one who introduced all these players to Mott Hospital, and they've come back to do that sort of thing. And I mean, how do you measure that? That goes beyond football, but is a measure of the man. And so by all of my measures, Lloyd Carr's a Hall of Famer.
He wasn't a tough guy. I mean, I don't think he was on the sideline and in practice. He had a more cerebral approach, don't you think?
For the most part, but he could be tough. I mean, he wasn't, nobody is a football coach without being tough, Michael. Mm-hmm. And they may give you the soft and cuddly side, but Lloyd Carr could be very tough. I know one freshman he called in who was giving him problems was a bit of an attitude case, and it was a freshman quarterback who was playing. Mm-hmm. I should name him, but I'm not going to. It's going to bring all freshmen into question, but I'm just going to tell you generically, there's a freshman quarterback who had complained a little bit about the play calling during a game, and he called him in and he said, "Son," he says, "the only thing I like about you," he says, "I like your potential. That's it. I don't like your attitude. I don't like your practice habits. I don't like anything else about you. Now get out of my office." And that was the end of the meeting.
Wow.
So Lloyd could be tough, yeah.
There's something to chew on for the rest of the semester, huh?
Well, exactly. You know what? I don't know if the player got the message or not. He later transferred out of Michigan and he got drafted in the NFL, but Lloyd got the point across.
We'll do the math on that one and figure it out sooner or later. Now we're going to have a night game at Michigan Stadium, and we're going to have throwback uniforms against Notre Dame. I didn't think Michigan's uniforms had changed that much where you could have throwback uniforms. You're going to have to go way back, aren't they?
Yeah, I guess so. I didn't realize it either, and then I was told that there were a few subtle changes in them, and I just hope the numbers are readable from the booth. That's all, Michael. When you get those throwbacks, sometimes the numbers get really small, and but I'm assured that they're going to be big. So I think it'll be pretty neat. And Michigan Notre Dame, that's pretty cool for a throwback game. I think if you're not going to do it within the conference against one of your rivals like Ohio State or Michigan State. Then Michigan Notre Dame is about the next best one, I would think.
Yeah, I heard something about smaller numbers, and I heard something about stripes. I mean, I'd really have to go back and look in one of those old books because I don't even think John Falk was there when they wore stripes on the sleeves.
No, well, John was there, just about the time that they put the face mask on the helmet, I think. So. But I don't know what they look like. I haven't looked them up yet. I thought they were going to have a press conference by now, and I'm just waiting to see what they look like. But the other part about that, the marketers are going to love these too because they're going to sell in the stores. And when they, Ohio State has done this twice now against Michigan. They've gone with throwback jerseys. Mm-hmm. And the one was a pretty neat one. It was a national championship team. I forget which team now from way back. But the first time they did it, the uniforms, they didn't look so good. So I'm hoping these throwbacks are neat ones that everybody likes and not the kind where people go, okay, that was a great idea, now don't do it again.
We'll see you for a cigar on Mackinac Island in 3 weeks.
Can't wait.
All the best to Frank Beckman, the Wolverine play-by-play announcer and morning show host at WJR from 9 until noon on 760 or WJR.com. It's Michael Patrick Shields on a Pure Michigan Monday. We'll be with quarterback Matthew Stafford later today at an event in Grand Rapids. He'll join us on the air tomorrow morning, and we're back in a flash.